Hi guys, it's Mr. Opera, and I'm here today I'm here to apologize. I need to say I'm sorry. This is Opera, the channel that I've been really criticizing. I hate to say it. They are correct. We do have a crisis in the way that people teach singing today. But I'm here to offer a solution. The Mr. Opera Challenge. You see, the real problem with This Is Opera is that they're afraid to sing. And they're afraid to sing and show you what they sound like because they don't sound like the standard that they set. I have a word for this kind of person that seems to know everything about singing and seems to imply that they're really good at singing, except they never sing. It's a singing sasquatch. The sasquatch is a mythical beast that so many people claim to have seen, but whenever the sasquatch is nearby, the camera breaks. Well, we all have a camera we can use to record ourselves singing. Why don't we? Why do we spend so much time listening to people who seem like they know what they're talking about? You don't have enough squeal in your sound. You need the better old school singing like Benjamin O'Gilly, the kind that I'm studying. And we'd never ask them, hey, why don't you pick up your phone and record that for me? Do we really want to know? Are we really looking for something that works in real life? Or are we just happy with the fantasy? What is the point of all this stuff? I don't know, but the cure for it is the Mr. Opera Challenge! Now, what's really interesting about all of this knowledge people have is they seem to be afraid to demonstrate how that actually works on their own voices. Or when they do post some examples of, say, their students singing, it's a really short clip or it's an old clip, and we never really can tell if the stuff that they're talking about works or doesn't work in real life. I'm introducing the Mr. Opera Challenge. Now, the Mr. Opera Challenge is really just a simple way for you to show what you mean. If you remember from my last video, I demonstrated how just having a microphone and placing the microphone in different places without any special post-production work really changes the results you get when you record yourself. Now, in my most watched videos so far, about how This Is Opera are a bunch of people really afraid to show what they sound like, I demonstrated how a less than reputable online voice teacher adds effects to the sound examples that he posts of his students in order to make it seem like they can somehow overwhelm modern recording equipment. Which I have to tell you guys, it's not really possible. The equipment today is good enough to make clear recordings. Now, in order to cut through all the bullshit, I want to bring you the Mr. Opera Challenge. This is about doing a favor for all the students of singing out there who might have sat in a studio with a voice teacher or talked to people online commenting about singing and wondered, do these people actually know what they're talking about? Does it actually work in real life? And how can I compare this to what I'm doing and know if I'm really doing what they say, if what they say makes sense, or if all of this is really just a kind of online wanking? The Mr. Opera Challenge is really simple. You post some video with your face and your voice. The reason we need both your face and your voice is we can really easily see when you're editing your clips just with our eyes. It's not so easy when someone is just singing to tell that that's going on. And it's almost impossible with video and audio together to really perfectly cut cut things together so that it looks like you can actually get through a piece of music while accomplishing the things you claim to be able to accomplish. Now, the other important thing about making comparisons between two ways of singing is that, as I've shown, the way that you record really is going to affect the results. Most of the viewers, most of your teachers, we all have one of these. And I've posted example after example that were just recorded with a cell phone. And if you go to channels like This Is Opera, they're often comparing modern singers who are recorded on a cell phone to old school singers who are recorded with completely different kinds of equipment. I wanted to try to cut through some of the misinformation that's out there and to cut through some of the problems with unequal comparisons. When I came onto YouTube and started posting examples, I knew that people would be recording themselves and comparing to what I do. And so I actually didn't have a microphone like this, and I didn't do any kind of post-production work on my examples because I don't want to create an unrealistic impression. It's a little bit like photoshopped models being compared to everyday people in real life, and you can never measure up because they're photoshopped and they don't look like that in real life. There's also the problem that if I record myself enough times and I have little bits of each aria that I want that work, even though in real life I can't do the whole thing, I can splice those together to make it look like, wow, look, I'm so consistent and I can sing like a god. But the real picture is that when the music starts playing and I sing, the results that I really get in real life are different from what I'm showing. Why do people do this? Well, the voice teaching industry is very lucrative. You can make a lot of money without ever singing. All you have to do is convince people that you know what you're talking about. Now, this was a little bit easier to get away with, even just 20 years ago. As you've seen in my reporting about David Jones, for instance, it was possible to get away with never singing at all. There are no known records of this person ever being able to sing. But just by talking, because no one was expecting that it would be so cheap and easy to make a recording, you could make a reputation for yourself, whether or not what you do actually helps people. And you could make a reputation for yourself as a voice teacher without ever knowing really anything about how to produce the voice well. So, Mr. Opera's challenge is super simple. Get your cell phone, introduce yourself, and say, I'm taking the Mr. Opera challenge. Start the music and sing an aria. In between when you introduce yourself and when you start, no edits. You've seen me talking about microphones, for instance, or talk about vocal technique, and although I have edits when I'm speaking, I don't edit my singing to make it look like I can do what I can't. And generally, I'm making everything in one session so that I'm talking to you and then I start the music and I sing for you. I hope you guys will notice when you take the Mr. Opera challenge. If you survive and actually have the guts to post what you came up with, everything changes just from knowing that I'm watching, that other people are watching, and that we're going to compare what you can do to what you say you can do. Now, why do we need this? Well, I've been talking about a channel called This Is Opera and saying that they don't really have a point. I was wrong. They do have a really good point that people today who teach singing are not really teaching anything. Where I disagree is about whose fault that is. We are letting ourselves be led around and bossed around by people who don't have the guts to even try doing what we do. Sometimes by people who just simply failed at trying to do what we are trying to do. And instead of working until they found solutions to their problems, they simply start teaching. And it's possible only as long as people allow them to get away with it. Only as long as we allow a culture where those who can't do teach. Now, I've heard some arguments about why you don't need to be able to demonstrate. Some people say, well, you don't need to be a world-class singer in order to hear the difference between two different kinds of vocal production. You're right, but you're also saying your examples, when you record them, don't need to be world-class in order for you to be able to demonstrate the difference between two different ways of producing the sound, or three different ways, or whatever the point you're trying to make happens to be. So here's the requirements. 1, needs to be a video. Audio only is not going to cut it. 2, you need to play the accompaniment to your aria in the room that you're singing in while you're singing. It has to be a live accompaniment. It can be a karaoke track if you want. You can use a live pianist if you'd like, but it needs to be present in the room so that you're actually singing with an accompaniment. Why? Well, because when you try to put effects on the voice afterwards, after you've recorded, it becomes really difficult if the accompaniment is actually present. You can often hear two examples compared, and one of them has accompaniment, and then when they say, here's our great results afterwards, suddenly for some reason there's no accompaniment. And that's because if you add an effect, it's going to affect the accompaniment as well, and that's going to sound really weird. The next requirement is no edits. No jumping around and splicing things together. No recording your introduction, saying that you're going to do the challenge, and then going somewhere and relaxing for 30 minutes after your blood pressure comes down and your fear starts to subside. No, you need to introduce yourself and sing right away as part of the challenge. And the final requirement, you need to indicate what you're using to record yourself. So if you're using a cell phone, tell us the model of cell phone. If you're using a condenser mic like this, tell us about that. Tell us how you're recording yourself. Now those are all really easy things, really easy requirements for everyone who wants to participate in online discussions about singing. If you're a student of singing, I'm hoping to give you a really polite way to challenge your teachers. Ask them, won't you take the Mr. Opera Challenge? I think it would be really fun. If they refuse, and if they don't seem to be willing to demonstrate what they can do, well, I think you need to start asking yourself why. Why is that? And watch their excuses. Because I think if you can be so creative with how you come up with excuses for not singing, you certainly have the intelligence to be able to figure out how to sing well. And if you have all the answers for how to sing well, and you've had them for years now, why is it that it doesn't work for you? I hope you'll find in the process of just trying to survive the Mr. Opera Challenge that your attitude will start to change about the demonstrations you see out there in real life. It's time that you started comparing what you can do in your imagination to what you can do in real life. And it's time that you start asking why. Maybe grow up a little. Maybe find some maturity, because when you get up there for your auditions to try to get into real singing jobs, you're not going to have special effects added to your voice. Nobody's going to care about your pedigree, and nobody's going to care about your chest release or whatever it is that you think you're doing if everything just falls apart. If you think you're making sounds like Renata Tebaldi, but you can't sing in rhythm, you don't have it. You have some kind of imaginary accomplishment, and you're comparing your fantasy to other people's reality. So take the challenge. See you guys.